Hello and welcome to the 2026 Glorious Goodwood preview brought to you by textbet, the smarter way to place your bets via WhatsApp. Glorious Goodwood is one of the highlights of the flat season. 5 fantastic days of group racing, ultra competitive handicaps, and some of the biggest betting heats of the summer. And on today's podcast, we are going to preview every day of the festival, discuss the feature races, the major handicaps, and at the end, finish with our best bets for the entire week. Alongside Jordan Hopkins and Martin Dwyer. Let's move on to Thursday, in which we have the Nassau as the feature race for the fillies and mares over a mile and 2 furlongs. That's the 3:35. And another fascinating, the Group 1s, I think, this year at Goodwood are real crackers. We've got Diamond Necklace taking on her elders for the first time. She gets £9 from both See the Fire and Friendly Soul and Fallen Angel. We've got Botagos in there as well. Aiden's got a few others entered. No doubt he'll have a couple of pacemakers up there. But for me, really, it's probably going to be between Diamond Necklace, See the Fire and Friendly Soul. My view on it, Martin, I'll come to you first, but my view on it would be that I think Friendly Soul is the one to beat, despite the fact she's got to give Diamond Necklace weight, just because she's been there and done it. And, she looked like she would have gone very close against Blue Bolt and the Duke of Cambridge last time without that trouble in running. And let's not forget, that was off the back of her putting her foot down a hole at Haydock. And it was back over a mile. This is much more her trip, and I'd be pretty strong on her running a very good race, for all that Diamond Necklace looks a potential star in the making. What do you reckon, Martin?
Yeah, I think I agree with everything you've said. A Friendly Soul, she looks like she's been targeted at this race, doesn't she? That run over the mile last time where she ran really well. She was unlucky, wasn't she? She got hampered and she was a bit too far back. And then Blue Bolts has obviously gone out and won a Group 1 level. So that is proper form. And I think she's the one she's got to beat. Diamond Necklace, has she got the real stamina for this type of distance? It sounds stupid to say. She won the French Oaks, of course, but she looked like she was going to win easy and then seemed to sort of run out of steam later on. And I know connections have said that she's quite lazy workhorse at home and only does enough, but she's receiving that weight allowance against the older fillies. But I don't know, I've just got it in my head that she's a weak stayer at that distance. I might be totally wrong. I think she's vulnerable, and Friendly Soul does look like the one. And you couldn't rule out See the Fire either. So I think it's a race not to get involved with and not to have a bet. Just enjoy the spectacle and see, whoever's the best will win. But you couldn't rule out See the Fire either, could you? She was third in it last year. Didn't like the soft ground, and she was good in the Middleton. Wasn't beating miles in the Prince of Wales Stakes last time. But again, on fast ground, you couldn't rule her out. So it really is a difficult one. I just think Diamond Necklace is vulnerable, but equally she could go and win easily. So I've contradicted myself there, but that's why I just sit back and enjoy the race.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those races to savour, isn't it? I think, and I think we're very much on the same page. Interesting what you think, Jordan. I mean, we should probably give Botagos a mention, really, for all that she's got a lot to find, because she won the Hopkins last time out in her first step up the group company and beat a good horse in Diamond Rain, and she goes for Roger Varian and Les Dawson. So we'll see how that one gets on. But what do you think, Jordan?
Yeah, Bossigos, won well last time. I'd be very surprised if she's up to winning this. Guess you have to mention Fallen Angel as well. She's class horse, but again, I think it's between Friendly Soul and Diamond Necklace. I don't really have an awful lot to add. I think you've both covered it very well. I think Friendly Soul would have definitely won at Ascot, or should have definitely won at Ascot, as supposed to be unlucky. She was always probably not going to have the hardest race there anyway, because as Martin mentioned, like this sort of target and perhaps the Prix de l'Opera at the end of the season are more where they're aiming back from. I thought it was very telling that she was kept in training, to be fair, given what she's achieved already and how valuable she is in terms of what the family she descends from, as well as what she's achieved herself on the track as a broodmare going forward. So, yeah, I think she will be winning another Group 1 this year. I think whether it's this or not will depend on how good Diamond Necklace is. The only other real strong opinion I'd have on the race is I don't understand why Friendly Soul is a bigger price than See the Fire. And with the Deanne last time, obviously, as Martin mentioned again, that connections think maybe she's kind of idles in front, the winner. But like, she hasn't put her foot wrong to date. Personally, I think she just wants slightly easier ground. I think at Shanti last time it would have been like a road. And I would just say perhaps she was just feeling it in the closing stages a little bit, and she was in front a long time. But yeah, she's obviously very good. I just think she might be a little bit better on slightly easier ground, which she will probably get at Goodwood. In fairness, it's not going to be real quick, is it? So yeah, I'd probably side on watching this really, but if I was to have a bet, it would be Friendly Soul as well.
Yeah, good. Well, yeah, well, I think we're all in agreement there. Yeah, it looks like a cracker, doesn't it? But yeah, Friendly Soul, I think, is going to run a good race for sure. On to the 225 next. That's the Markel Richmond Stakes, Group 2 for 2-year-olds. Flan Sunner's favourites. Cutter Dash, second favourite. Nice in Vegas, A Day of Scarlet, who's been seen a fair few times already this season. Man's Best Friend, interesting for Aidan O'Brien. Jordan, come back to you. But and do you know what? Before you talk about this race in general, I think it is worth pointing out how Aidan O'Brien's string have been out of form recently because he has been really struggling to get the winners now. I mean, it's probably not going to matter when you get to a big festival because he's almost certain to have them primed and ready. But at the same time, it would be a slight concern, I think, given how many hot favourites he's got and how many horses are expected to run well. I think that's probably just worth mentioning, isn't it? Ahead of the
Definitely, yeah, and
yeah.
like particularly with regard to Diamond Necklace, I guess when you're looking at taking a horse at 4 to 6, you'd want everything in your favour when you're betting at that price, wouldn't you? So yeah, I think that there's absolutely no value in that price anyway. Like if I'm betting a horse at 4 to 6, I want to be marking it 10 to 1 on, and you couldn't. And so yeah, but yeah, a good thing to mention. The Richmond, I don't think this is a very good race at all, to be honest. And I'm gonna want at a ridiculously big price. I think he's 66 to 1 in places.
Oh, here we go.
Mr. McCartney, again for Ollie Ricks, who again I'd mentioned one of his earlier. I'd have a lot of respect for him as a trainer. I think he's a seriously shrewd operator, and will be going places as a trainer going forward. I know that there's a young lad that bought this actually that I used to watch a lot of gallops in Newmarket, and he can't be 20 or 21. He's called Algie, and he's got a really sharp eye for horses, and this would be one of the first yearlings he bought. So I'm really pleased for him that it's turned out that this is a nice type. He's by You Better Believe It, who's had a pretty good start as a stallion as well. Amy Murphy's Tokaido is by him, and he's nearly one of the best 2-year-olds in Europe at the moment in terms of early ones. So yeah, this horse. I mean, he ran a lovely race at Sandown just before Ascot, coming well off the pace and closed really well. And then he ran behind Orthodox then in the Norfolk, and again closed really well into kind of like a minor place into 7th. So yeah, I just think he's going to be completely written off in the market. And as much as the Crisford horse does look very smart, I just don't think the rest of this race is particularly strong. And I mean, a few of these have had a good few runs already, like A Day of Scarlet. Obviously, has some nice form in the book, but I'd be of the view that Coventry isn't overly strong. And yeah, I'd just be happy to just take a chance at one at a massive price. And I think as much as he won't win it, he might be able to run into 3rd or 4th at 50 to 1 or bigger.
Yeah, well, I love that. And best of luck, to be honest, because yeah, that's a
Might need it, but yeah.
fairly juicy price. Mr. Dawson on again, of course.
Yeah,
Sorry,
he's very, very good. So
He's brilliant. Yeah, he's a brilliant rider, and he's really coming of age, isn't he, this season? I'm going to throw in there Cutter Dash. I just thought he was a little bit unlucky not to finish slightly closer than 4th in the Coventry. He didn't get the clearest of runs late on, and I can just see the favourite Flan Sunner, if he does what he did at Ascot last time, in which he was far too good on talent alone, but he did pull, and he pulled into the lead. And fortunately for Jack Mitchell, everything else in behind is nowhere near as good as he is. But this is a step up now. And for horses like Cutter Dash and Nice in Vegas, who have proven they can do it in a race like the Coventry, I just think he wouldn't get away with those antics now. So I'd be keen at the price on Cutter Dash, but it wouldn't be a strong selection. Martin, what do you think in the Richmond?
Yeah, with you, Tom. Cutter Dash got a great profile. I thought he won really well over 5 films at York in May, and it was a big run in the Coventry when he was 4th. But like you watch it back and you couldn't say he was really unlucky, but he just didn't get a clear run. He couldn't keep his momentum going like you need to in those type of races. So yeah, I think we can upgrade his Coventry 4th a little bit. So he brings solid form into this, and he's just a nice horse, nice looking horse, and he'd be my favourite to win this. But the favourite is Flan Sauna, who he's hard to assess, isn't he? I mean, he beat a horse rated 87 by about 5 lengths at Ascot. He could be very, very good, but like you, I'd be concerned about him possibly boiling over. He'd be one, if you're going to have a bet on him, I'd watch him in the paddock and how he goes to post, because he was wiped with sweat when he won at Ascot, a little bit edgy. if it's going to be hot on Thursday at Goodwood, you know how that place can be. He's the type of horse that he could go and win 10 lengths and look amazing. He could boil over, not run his race at all. So you really need a horse with a good temperament, a 2-year-old with a good temperament to win at Glorious Goodwood, or the Qatar Festival as it's called now. And I'm not sure he ticks that box for me, Flan Sauna. So it's an intriguing race, but I think Cut a Dash could just be good enough.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, interesting stuff. On to the Gordon Stakes, Group 3 over a mile and a half at 3 o'clock. It's for 3-year-olds and is usually a pointer to something like the St. Ledger later in the season. We have A La Prochaine, Enceladus, Bear Brilliance, Geryon, Sahara King, and a few others. It's not a particularly interesting race, I think, compared to some that we've got this week, as far as I'm concerned, anyway. I think if Bear Brilliance bounces back from what was clearly an underperformance in the Deutsche Derby in Hamburg last time, he'd be very hard to beat. Judged on that Lingfield trial, next second behind Maltese Cross. And obviously Maltese Cross has improved markedly since then. But after that, he was fourth in the Derby. And I think this is a horse he probably wants quicker ground, which is what he's going to get this week. So I expect him, if that was an anomaly last time, to bounce back here. Jordan, the Gordon Stakes, have you got a view?
Yeah, it's probably, I know we're going to come on to this later, but this will probably be my best bet of the week. And Enceladus,
Yeah.
I think is how you pronounce it. He won the King George V handicap at Ascot ahead of Alazd, who's franked that form on the weekend. On the Friday, the King George meeting against the Elders, bolted up over the same course and distance. Believed in third, was unlucky not to win a listed race at Gorham Park the other day. Dylan, again, as we say, friend of the show, is probably his best horse or best 3-year-old, definitely in the yard. Arcalay was back in fifth. He was a bit disappointed next time at Newmarket, but he pulled both of his front shoes. I think they're going to York with him now, and so he could bounce back. And like Hayzoom looked extremely well handicapped going into that race of 85, and Galilean Quality back in sixth, won at Ascot, beating older horses the other day. I just think that form is mustard, and this horse won it pretty well, really, in fairness, off of 89, and steps up now. But as you said, Tom, it's probably a bit of a disappointing field in the sense that it's not that great of a race. Obviously, we don't have decks for this yet, but I'd hope he gets declared, and if he does, I'd be marking him as a pretty strong bet. I think he's a proper horse, and definitely up to group class. Bay of Brilliance obviously has some nice form in the book, but he's been highly tried now in 2 derbies, and you'd want to be. There's a bit of a leap of faith backing him after the race in Germany the other day. I know not a lot went right, but yeah, I think Joseph horse is very good and should take some beating.
Yeah, that form, as you say, Frank to Ascot last time. Okay, Martin, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with Jordan there with the Gordon Stakes. It's probably not the strongest renewal, is it? Ale Shane, am I pronouncing that right? I think she's vulnerable. She's only ran 3 times, but she was entered in a Lily Langtree over a mile and 6, and I thought she'd go there. I thought they'd step up in distance with her. She was a good third in the Cheshire Oaks. She didn't handle Epsom really particularly well when she ran in the Oaks, but stayed on nicely into 4th. So that was a good piece of form. But the way she's built and the way she went around Epsom, I'd have concerns about her at Goodwood because she looked all at sea coming down the hill at Epsom. So she's got that to prove. And Bay of Brilliance, if he hadn't have ran in the German Derby, he'd be favourite for this, wouldn't he? But it's as Jordan said, it's a big leap of faith if you're going to back him in this race because he was absolutely lapped in the German Derby. And I don't think you can blame soft ground because he was 4th in the Derby at Epsom on soft ground. So, you know, they must have known it was going to be on the easy side going to Germany because it always is. The German Derby's always ran on soft ground pretty much. And, you know, he ran terrible. So hard to fancy him. And I'm with Jordan with Joseph's horse, Enchilada. She was a good winner at Royal Ascot. Tough, determined, gritty win. Stepped up into group company for the first time. And to me, he looks ready for it. So he's probably the most progressive horse in the field. And yeah, I think he'd be my selection.
Okay, strong agreement there from Jordan and Martin. Just on the rest of the card on Thursday, we've got a couple of really good handicaps, the 150, and then later on there's a 5 furlong dash. Anything else on the card for you, lads? I'll put forward one in the 150. I think Sahara King has got plenty more to come. He has entered up a few other places in the week, but he's been gelded since his slightly disappointing effort last time up behind Lost Boys at Royal Ascot. in which he was quite strongly fancied, but he was a bit keen and was far too far back that day in first time cheap pieces. And before that, he'd been beating ahead in the London Gold Cup, which, as I say, Tierra del Toro also ran in. And I think off a mark of 101, I still think there's going to be more to come from this horse. And if the gelding operation has a positive effect, then I can see him running a really good race in that 150. Martin, back to you. Anything else on Thursday?
I think in the first race, the 150, I like Saint Anton. I've followed this horse all season. I was at Newmarket when he won, and he's won 3 times at a mile. Didn't run his race in the Britannia Stakes, but I thought he was a good winner last time. And I think he's quite intriguing stepping up to a mile too. I thought he won nicely at Newmarket early July, and I think there could be more to come from him stepping up in distance for Richard Hannon. Richard Hannon always does well at this meeting as well, doesn't he? But for me, I've just followed this horse, and I think he's still good enough to win off his rating of 97, and I think there could be more improvement going up in distance. And he's quite a big price, around 12-1. So yeah, he definitely interests me in the first race on Thursday.
He's often overpriced as well, isn't he, St Anton? I know he won once to send off 7-4 favourite, but he's 10-1 last time, 4-1 when he won at Newmarket earlier in the season. So yeah, there's maybe a bit of value with him. What about you, Jordan? Rest of Thursday.
Yeah, a couple in the handicaps. In the 410, I think it's the 5 furlong 3-year-old one. It's a horse called Schrodinger's Cat for Grant Tuer. He's improved leaps and bounds since he was really smartly bought by Grant at the October sale last year for 30 grand. He's off a mark of 78. He's rated 95 now. And to be honest, I think he's probably nearly a listed class horse. They might need to end up stepping him up at some point because obviously it's going to be harder and harder to win these types of races off that sort of mark, really, because we got so many of these sorts of horses now with the way the breeding's going, sharper early horses. So yeah, I think he's got a very decent chance. Hopefully they don't go. And it's a silly thing to say, really, because it's a 5 furlong handicap at Goodwood. They're going to go quick, but he'll probably be closer to the paces. That's how he's ridden. But you can mark him up a couple of times, particularly at York 2 starts back, where he basically tried to make all in a massive field and was just collared on the line. And he ran really well at Ascot last time, tracking through Bahike, I think it was, that went off favourite, and they won it on the far side, but those two probably wanted marking up. So I like him. Whether I'll be backing him or not, I don't know, because it's quite tightly priced, and it's one of those races where you could probably make a case for 10 of them. But I think he'll win a nice race this year. I just wanted to mention a horse called Dark Whisper for David Benoisier. Again, like the one you mentioned, Tom, I think he's got about 4 entries this week. So where he'll run, I'm not sure, but he's in the mile handicap for 3-year-olds, which I'd probably say he'll run there, or maybe the 10 furlong one later in the week. He won a maiden at Foss last time. I think that race will work out quite well. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of this, but Charlie Pike had a horse in that was second. I think it's Dashlingen.
Sounds good to me.
It's like, I don't know whether it's Gaelic or definitely Irish. So I did try and listen to the commentary back of that before I came on here, but I think that race will work out quite well. That horse of Charlie Pike's is entered this week as well. And there's a horse of Tom Clover's in behind called Imperious that looks well handicapped. And so I think that form wants following. Whether either of those will win a decent handicap this week, I don't know. But they'll definitely be winning a couple of times a piece before the end of the season, I think.
Okay, nice one, Jordan. And I'll come straight back to you for the best bet on Thursday.
Best bet on Thursday, Enchiladas.
And Martin?
Yeah, I agree with Jordan. Enchiladas probably the best bet in the Gordon Stakes. I think there's a few unknown quantities in the other races. I think they're quite tough on Thursday.
Okay, I'm going to go with Cutter Dash in the Richmond Stakes. Hopefully can run a really good race there. Right, on to Friday. I'm going to start with the Flying 5 Furlong King George Qatar Stakes, won by some extremely rapid horses down the years. This campaign, we have Night Raider, Rumstar, Jackajaro, JM Jungle, American Affair, Asfura, Spicy Marg, Aspect Island, and a few others. A who's who of sprinting names. And Martin, I'll come straight to you for this always exciting race to watch. What do you make of it this year?
Yeah, would it be fair to say that we haven't got the best bunch of sprinters around at the moment? They're all beating each other. When you think of some of the good horses who won this race, like Batash, I don't think we've got top level or anywhere near that level, but it is intriguing nonetheless. And yeah, I think Night Raider's probably the right favourite. He was good in the Temple Stakes, wasn't he? But I think 5 furlong at Ascot last time was too stiff for him. But you've got a horse like Rumstar, who was a winner last time, but it's just really hard to predict. You know what I like at a price? I like Parton Hero. I think he's too big a price.
Okay.
33 to 1 for David Lock now. For me, he's a horse, a sprinter that's progressing and probably he's peaking. He's in the form of his life. He's a 6-year-old. He won a class 2 at York in May over 5 furlongs. He was third at Epsom over 6, Derby Day. He was only just over a length behind Rum Star when he was third at Sandown. Now Rum Star, he's as big as 33 to 1, and Rum Star is 5 to 1. So I think he's too big a price, and he was a really good second at the Curragh in Group 2 13 days ago. So I think he's too big a price. I think he's sure to finish in the first three or four. So, and he could easily win it, as I said, because they're just these sprinters. They're just beating each other all the time. And even Spicy Marley can make a case. She's never far away, is she? So it's a real head scratcher. It's a bit of a conundrum. Anything can happen in this type of race, but I think there's value with some of those horses that are kind of like nearly horses at this level, but it could be their day.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this race represents big value. I think there's a few at decent prices you can get involved in. You mentioned the Spicy Marg. I'm going to go with her actually. I know she's back to 5 furlongs this time, but if she can hang on to the coattails, she'll come finishing strongly. And she's won from one at Goodwood so far. She's one of those, isn't she? I don't think she always produces her best. She's a little bit in and out, but her best form, as we saw at Royal Ascot, is very, very good indeed, and will be good enough, in my view, to win a race like this. And what is she? Around about 12 to 1, I think is a decent price. Tom Marquand is up, and he was on when she finished second to Venetian Sun at Royal Ascot. So that's a real big plus for me. I think there's a race within her armoury, such as this one, and yeah, fingers crossed it's going to be the day for her. Jordan, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to go with JM Jungle to go back to back. He won this by a neck last year for John and Sean Quinn. It's obviously been hugely progressive coming through the grades, and yeah, I just think he's a very admirable horse. He was a little bit unlucky at Ascot. Seems to remember he definitely stumbled the start, and he wouldn't have won, but he got kind of a little bit short of room in the closing stages, and would have finished. He was better than his finishing position suggested anyway on the day, and he was right back to form last time when he nearly won and third in York, and yeah, I think he's kind of peaking again at this right sort of time, and you kind of get that with horses at times where they sometimes just peak in one sort of phase of the season, and it was this time for him last year, and hopefully it can be again. I know the owners of this horse quite well, and they're good lads, and I say definitely be the biggest cheer of the week if he does win. So fingers crossed, and I'm there on the Wednesday. Oh, this is Friday. Jeez, bloody hell! I won't be there on the Friday, but I'm seeing that's what's going from around. I'm seeing them on the Wednesday, so hopefully they'll have a good week, and this will finish things off with a cherry on the icing for them.
Yeah, okay, good stuff. Three different selections there for the race, and that's the first time we've had that so far, at least one of them anyway. Right, on to the 3 o'clock. That is the Coral Golden Mile, the biggest handicap other than the Stewards Cup of the whole week. Sees in Darlow, top of the market, Scoville, Beagle Bay, and plenty of others. Go to you here, Jordan. Have you got a fancy in the big handicap on Friday?
Yeah, it's something of a minefield this race really, but I it's very draw dependent. If Scoville can draw low enough and kind of not be too pushed for pace, which he will do, but he's going to go out in front, and he ran a great race in the Hunt Cup, and I just think this track will help him keep his revs down a bit more. They can improve second run after a wind up. That was his best run for a long time last time in Ascot. And he's always been very, very highly regarded. They've just kind of struggled to keep a lid on him as such. But hopefully, this track can play to his strengths. And I think he's definitely on raw ability. He's way better than a mark of 98, and I think you can see that from the way he's been campaigned over the last sort of 12 to 18 months. And yeah, if things can fall right for him and he doesn't kind of do too much too soon, he can go very close in this, I think.
Okay, yeah, interesting thoughts. I agree that I think he's on the right of the handicapper, to be honest. I think there's a winner in waiting in this race. He's so well handicapped, it's almost laughable. And this is Tribal Chief. But the problem with Tribal Chief is that he starts slowly, and it's cost him on his last couple of starts behind the Wizard of Eye Ascot when he finished third, and then behind Indalo at Sandown last time. Now, I'm I'm going to be watching the gates with all the power that my eyes can muster, in the hope that Jamie Spencer, who is on for the first time, can work his magic and get this horse out of the stalls quickly, or at least not slowly, as has been the case the last few times. There's no doubt he's well handicapped. He's certainly well handicapped off 93 to win a race like this one. I'm convinced of it. And let's not forget, he won over course and distance last season back in August, beating Treble T, and that was a good run. That was off 90. He's only 93 now. He's run some big races in defeat, including third in the Lincoln so far this season. And Martin, your old pal, Jamie Spencer up top. I hope he can work his magic.
Well, a 20 runner, class two handicap, over a mile at Goodwood, a slow starter with Jamie Spencer on board. What could go wrong, Tom? I'd want to see a heart monitor, you attached to a heart monitor watching it, that's for sure, if you've had a bet on him. He is well handicapped, but there's a lot of potential for it to go wrong. So I'm going to go against you, and I'm going to go with Beagle Bay for Rafe Beckett. I like this horse. He's only ran 5 times. He's really on the upgrade. He's won 3 of them. I thought it was a really good performance when he won a class 2 at Sandown last time, off a mark of 89. The horse he beat, Rami, went to York and won the John Smith's Cup, stepping up a mile and a quarter. He improved, but he's off a mark of 94, carries 8 stone 10. To me, it looks like a race that Rafe Beckett's targeted. If he'd have ran him in the meantime, he'd have probably have won and gone up a few pounds. So I think he's saved, kept his powder dry for Glorious Goodwood. He's had 48 days off. I think he's kept his handicap mark for this race. Maybe I'm reading into it too much, but I like this horse. I think he's going to progress into a stakes horse. So I think he could look a good price at around 10 to 1 for this handicap. But I wish you all the best with Tribal Chief. Good luck with that one.
Yeah, I might need it. Yeah. Anyway, fingers crossed, hope for the best. Right, on to the 225. It's the Thoroughbred Stakes, Group 3 for 3-year-old milers. Now, Talk of New York, unsurprisingly, given his former Ascot, behind Birkenstad as the favourite. Sabre Strike, Cheyenne, Hankelo, Morris Dancer, and others are in there too. Martin, straight back to you. The 116 rated Talk of New York. Is this going to be a walk in the park for him, do you think, or is it going to be a little more tricky?
No, he wins. Best horse. He's 5 to 6 favourite, and he deserves to be. He was really good when he won the Heron Stakes at Sandown by 5.5 lengths, and he's third in the St James's Palace Stakes. I mean, he's just got to run the same race to beat these. It's probably a good bit of training for a place in front. Charlie Happy. Hopefully, he'll get his head in front, do his confidence the world of good, and then he'll probably go back up in search of a bigger prize, maybe in America or somewhere. Who knows? But he should just win. Surely, he should just win. He's the best horse in the race by some way, and he's definitely hasn't stopped improving. So, yeah, I think you'd be very brave to take him on.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he's going to win this, and I think the biggest danger could come from Cheyenne, who I thought won nicely at Newmarket last time, and is improving, and goes to the all-powerful team of Carl Burke and Clifford Lee. But I think Talking New York, I'm with you, Martin. It's just in a different league form-wise so far. So yeah, I'd be surprised if he got beat. Jordan, would you be in agreement?
Yeah, I think it's difficult to disagree with any of that. Something I just remember I didn't mention earlier, which kind of relates to Talk of New York as well, but with Opera Ballo and him, like both of them were winning at a time where the yard were really bang out of form. And obviously in the last few weeks that Charlie Appleby's form has kind of gone through the roof. So in a positive direction. So yeah, I think he'd be very hard to beat. And of the shorties, if you like, he's probably nearly the strongest one. Sabre Strike in second favourite. I mean, like I was hugely impressed when he won at Newmarket, and after that, I thought both him and Cerro Blanco would both be ending up winning Group Ones. I still think Cerro Blanco might. I'm not sure where he's going to go next, but Sabre Strike was backed, like defeat was out of question at Ascot, and obviously was backed up really quickly afterwards at York, and you sort of think, well, if Mr. Haggis is backing him up that quickly, then maybe defeat's out of the question again. But yeah, he ran a nice race there against some respectable kind of, well, obviously a Group One winner in Kirat and Never So Brave is pretty much a Group One or at least a Group Two horse as well. So you can't really knock him too much, but I think you'd be fairly brave to back him in sort of a second favourite spot. I think the main danger is Hankelo. There's definitely a big race in him. I was at the Prix de Jockey Club. I was so impressed with him physically, and I thought he was nearly the pick of the paddock and the best going down to the start. Things didn't really fall right in that race, but dropping back to a mile, I think will suit him much better. He was obviously third in the French Guineas behind Raif, and yeah, I think he's a lovely horse going forward, and he will be winning a race of this sort of stature at some stage, and. I mean, of the field, I think really him and Talking New York are perhaps the only two that have really got potential Group One credibility. Maybe Sabre Strike, but he needs to prove it. And sorry, I'm going through half the field here, but Yazin was quite well bet to beat Talk of New York at Sandown earlier in the year and was very disappointing. But if you can put a line through that, he looked quite promising before that at Southall. They made no secret as to how highly he's regarded. And I mean, perhaps it's a wind problem for him. He had wind surgery before he won at Southall, but if he can put the last run behind him, then he's very interesting as well.
Okay, on to the rest of the card on Friday. I like myself, believe it and you can, in the 2.5 mile handicap, just because he's going the right way. Looking forward to seeing him over that kind of distance. He stays it on the over hurdles, stays further than the hurdles. I think he'll be fine. He comes into this off the back of a hat trick, and obviously he was a good win last time with the Northumberland Vars. I think he can take the step up in handicap in his style. He's up another £5. I'm not sure that's going to see the end of his improvement. Jordan, straight back to you. Anything else on Friday appeal?
Yeah, in that same race, the first to two more 4 furlongs, I like Small Fry. I thought he was one of the more eye-catching losers in the Ascot handicaps, and yeah, I just came away from that meeting thinking he was one I wanted to keep on side going forward. He's entered in a mile 6 race later in the week or at some other stage in the week as well, I think. Yeah, on the Saturday, so potentially goes there. But I'd be running him in this personally. They've booked Billy Loughnane, and yeah, I think he's up to going close in this. He got a little bit too far back in the run in Ascot and should come forward for that. I think that was his first run of the season actually. I know he had one. He went well. He had a couple of runs over hurdles before. That was his first run on the flat of the year, and yeah, he looks dangerously handicapped still to me. So I think I'll probably be siding with him in that race on Friday.
Okay, good stuff. Anything else for you on Friday, Martin?
Yeah, the first race, the 2 mile 4. It's not a race I enjoyed riding in. It's a flag. It's a flag start, no stall, so that's always confusing for flat jockeys. Anyway, we've seen a few. I've got left behind in the past, and where jockey's not ready for it. A lot of the horses aren't, but believe it and you can. I'm with you, Tom. He's progressive. He ticks a lot of boxes. Goes on any ground. Stays well. He's won over hurdles, and he's just improved all year. I mean, how easy did he win at Newcastle last
I
time?
know.
It was like he just jumped in. He's got a £5 rise for that, but off a mark of how's he rated 87? He's won 3 races this year, and he's got better and better. So he just ticks a lot of boxes. I think he's a good bet in that first race.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Well, I'm with you, Martin, for sure. Believe it, you can. Best bet for Friday, then. I'm going to go with Spicy Marg each way in the King George. Martin, who are you with?
Beagle Bay in the Golden Mile at 3 o'clock. I think he's a group horse and a handicap. I think, might be me reading between the lines too much, but I think Rafe has protected his mark for a race of this nature.
Okay, and Jordan?
I will go with Scoville in the same race. Again, like respect Beagle Bay and also Tribal Chief is I agree is absolutely chucked in if he can put it all together. But I think this is Scoville's best chance of landing a big heritage handicap personally. And I think yeah, hopefully be lined up for this and fingers crossed he draws well.
Okay, finally on to Saturday. We had very limited time with the entries at time of recording, so I'm going to concentrate mainly on the two big races of the afternoon. So starting off with the 3 o'clock, that's the Qatar Lily Langtry Stakes Group 2 that sees Wardar and Santorini Star fighting it out at the top of the market. A very interesting runner on second start of the season is Consent. Daniel, Goody Two Shoes, and a few others in there as well. Jordan, start off with you with the Lily Langtry. Who do you like here?
Yeah, I like Consent. I think she's the best horse in the race. I think if she can put a last bad poor run behind her, which obviously needs to happen. Yeah, she was on a steep upward curve last season. Was unlucky not to win a Group 3 at Deauville during the festival there in the summer last year. Obviously has to reverse the form of Santorini on the form had to reverse the form of Santorini Star from Doncaster, but did that in pretty impressive style at Longchamp in the Royal Year on Arc weekend. So hopefully she's been trained to the T for this. Some arcs have really started kicking into gear now, and as we all know, like they won't during the start of the season, but when they do, the winners sort of come from here, there, and everywhere. And yeah, this race looks perfect for her, and hopefully she can get a Group 2 to her name.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think she is the best horse in the race at her best. It's just a question of whether she can bounce back. But I think the yard form is a big positive, and she thrashed Santorini Star, didn't she, in that Royal Year last season? So yeah, I'm with you with Consent, and 5 to 1 I think is a fair enough price. What about you, Martin, in the Lily Langtree?
It's a good race, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we need a couple of these to bounce back to the best to win it. You've mentioned Consent, Santorini Star. I mean, she was disappointing last time, but I'm not sure what it wasn't. Probably Tom McQuan's finest hour when she ran in at Hardwick. He was slowly away, and he tried to rush her up and ran the outside. He made up a lot of ground, ended up turning in and ran out of steam. But back up to this distance, she's definitely going to be of interest. But I really like Danielle. I think she's been quite impressive the last two wins. She was a good winner at York last time at the mile 6, and do you know what? She wasn't that far behind Kalpana last year at Ascot. It was pretty solid form. She wasn't beaten that far. What was she? She was 4.5 lengths behind, 5 lengths behind Kalpana, Estrange, Bedtime Story. That's solid form. And she's won her next two races. So she's got a bit to find. She's got to beat Santorini Star. She was fourth to her at Doncaster before that. But that was on softer ground. So, and again, I think Danielle's been targeted at this race. I'm siding with her. I think she's in form where a couple of the others need to bounce back.
Yeah, no, absolutely can see that for sure. And yeah, I think she's going the right way too. That's a nice performance last time, wasn't it? Okay, on to the 335. That is the Coral Stewards Cup. That's the big handicap of the day, one of the biggest of the week, of course. Dubai Bling, Two Tribes, Sondad, Stratus 9, Anaf. We all know these names with great familiarity because they run so often, and plenty of these run pretty well, generally over sprint trips. Martin, I'm going to come straight back to you for the Stewards Cup. It's yeah, it's not an easy one when you don't know the draw.
No, it's a difficult one, isn't it? But I think we got the right favourite this time anyway, far above Dream. 3 from 3 course and distance, so he clearly loves it here, and he's just a really progressive type for James Owen, isn't he? And he was a very unlucky fourth in the Woking when he missed the break and he didn't get a clear run. So yeah, he does need a bit of luck in running because of his style. He's normally sort of mid-division and coming through, so he'll need a bit of luck and he'll need the right draw. So I think he's the right favourite. But Amazing Journey, I was impressed with his win at Ascot a couple of days ago. I haven't seen a handicap won so easily at that level for quite some time. And I know he shifted left under Safi Osborne a bit. I think she got a suspension, but he won off 90. He'll carry a £6 penalty, but he gets into this race off 8 stone 5. I thought he was a real easy winner last time. I think he's definitely of interest at a big price. Amazing Journey. I think Two Tribes won that race last year and then went on to win the Stewards Cup, didn't he? So it can be done. I thought it was a really easy win at Ascot. You just go back and watch that win. I thought he won with a lot in hand. He's certainly going the right way, a progressive 3-year-old.
Yeah, absolutely can see it. Jordan, what do you think?
Yeah, obviously, as you both mentioned, this race is almost impossible to call that a draw, really. Kind of like you can win big sprint handicaps on straight courses from anywhere in theory, but that you want to be near or stand side, wouldn't you? Here, generally speaking, I wouldn't have a strong view. I think Sondad, as much as he's got to reoppose some of these from Ascot on worse terms, having won at the Curragh recently, I just think he's a massive horse that's just going to keep improving, and he's probably going to end up in sort of listeds and Group 3s after this. And if he draws well and he's sort of bang around the pace on the near side, I think you'll struggle to get him out kind of like the first 4 or 5, and they're probably going to pay plenty of place in this race. So yeah, I can see him running a massive race, and yeah, very admirable horse that will probably end up winning a listed race at some point.
Okay, I'm going to go Stratus 9 each way, around about 16 to 1 for Hugo Palmer, who's having a good season, and this was a good winner at York last time in a big field. He's got a £6 penalty to carry for that, but he's a 4-year-old very much going the right way, and I can see him running a good race again, but obviously it's very, very tricky, this one. One of the hardest races of the week, it always is. Given we didn't have entries at the time of recording, I'm going to do something slightly different for the end of Saturday, and that is to ask the panel a few different questions, festival awards, if you will. So we've got nap of the meeting, next best, and I want a lay of the meeting as well from each of you. So nap of the meeting, next best, and lay. Martin Dwyer, come to you first.
Oh, nap of the meeting, Adonis in the Molecombe.
Oh, okay.
Menzies. I think he'll kick us off with a good win. Next best, Kirat in the Lennox Stakes. Loves it round here. I think he's overpriced, 4-5 to 1. And lay of the meeting, if I was brave enough, I would say Diamond Necklace in the NASA Stakes. But am I brave enough to take on one of Aidan O'Brien's? They're not really in top form, and I think she's a very, very vulnerable favourite. So I might end up with egg on my face, but if I was feeling brave, it would be Diamond Necklace.
Okay, well, I like the sound of that. Jordan, what about you?
I was nap of the meeting would be Enceladus in the Gordon. I really think he'll take some beating in that race, and he's a nice price as well. For be 4 or 5 to 1, hopefully. So yeah, that'll be him for me. Next best, I go with Friendly Soul, and I'd say she's probably. Well, actually, I was going to say best value bet is probably Enchiladas, has to be if it's my nap. But both the pair of them are quite overpriced at the moment, I'd say. And the lay of the meeting kind of pains me to say because feels quite anti-racing to lay Bo Echo. But I think he's of the shorter price ones. I think he's potentially most vulnerable. And yeah, I'd be laying him. I was with him at Ascot, but I'll lay him here, I think.
You're a brave man, Jordan. Braver than me, that's for sure. I'm going to go same as Martin, actually. Lay of the week, Diamond Necklace, just because I think there are two in there against her who could really put it up to her in Friendly Soul and Andrew Baldings will see the fire. Nap of the meeting, I will go. I know this is a very short price, but I can't see Toasted New York getting beaten. I mean, I know he's 11 to 10 on even money or something like that, but he surely is going to win. And next best, I will go with Cutter Dash, actually, in the Richmond. I think he's got a really good chance. And finally, boys, I want a best value bet and a best handicap bet, if you will. So, Jordan, best value and best handicap. Come straight back to you.
Yes, I'd like to say Enchiladas is the best value because I do think he is, but I'll go with Mr. McCartney. Each way that put up earlier, he's going to be a silly price and could run into minor placings. And handicap, we didn't come to this race, but I've been sort of, as you say, looking at the racing, I think there might be one that will go for this. It's in the mile 6 handicap on the Saturday. It's called Galilean Quality for Carl Burke and Midland Park. He was described as like very coltish as a 2-year-old. I think Clifford Lee might have mentioned that after he won him at Pontefract, and he's pretty much gelded straight afterwards. And he's improved on a pretty steep upward curve this season. He was in the same race that Enchiladas has won actually at Royal Ascot, and he's backed that up and came out and beat Fireblade at Ascot over a mile 6 against some other older horses that have some solid form in the book last time. And yeah, I just think he's potentially a proper kind of 100+ horse in the making, and should be up to running a massive race if he does line up in that. So yeah, that'd be him for me.
Okay. And Martin, best value and best handicap for you?
Best value, can I say Flora Bermuda 7 to 2?
Yeah.
Is that value? I think
Well, it
it's
is if you think she's going to win.
Well, I think it's value for a Group 1 performer in dropping in grade or into a Group 3 in the Oak Tree. I think she's good value at that price, personally. Handicap, I think Beagle Bay in the mile handicap.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I said before, I think Brave's targeted this, and he hasn't run him since he won at Sandown, and that form has been franked. Yeah, I quite like him. I think he's a stakes horse in a handicap. Going back to your best selection, though, Toasted New York, what race does he run in, Tom?
Say again?
So going back to your selection, Toasted New York, what race does he run in? Or did you mean Talk of New York?
Did I say Toast to New York? Oh,
Yeah.
brilliant. Yeah. God, going back 10 years at least. Your Tale of New York. That's the name of the horse, right?
Talk of New York.
Talk of New York. Got to get that right.
Bloody old Billy.
Yeah, Talk of New York. There you go. That's my nap. Yeah, just finishing off my best value, Spicy Mark, I think, in the King George. And I'll go best handicap Tierra del Toro in the 150 on Wednesday. Gents, thank you very much. Been a lot of fun. Really enjoyed that. Hopefully you got some winners in there as well. A few good selections, I think, put up across the board. And thank you, all of you at home, for joining us for the TextBet Glorious Goodwood preview. And do make sure to keep an eye out on the TextBet socials for all daily boosts and best prices. Huge thanks to both Martin Dwyer and Jordan Hopkins for sharing their insights. And if you have enjoyed this preview, please do subscribe to the TextBet channel and leave us your best bets in the comments. So from all of us, enjoy the festival and best of luck with your wagers.